And what is definitely more entertaining, compelling, and engaging than anything that's going on in WWE right now is the ongoing words, the war of words, the drama unfolding, and it keeps getting more involved. I just don't know why Jim Cornette just doesn't accept Vince Russo's offer and just talk it out. Man up and just going. I mean, I don't know how many times Vince Russo has asked of both Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette. Listen, whether you're on Cornette's side or Russo's side, or you hate Russo and you like Cornette, or you hate Cornette and you like Russo, whether you don't respect Russo and you respect Cornette, or their line of work, or what they did, or how they did it, or how they went about it, it doesn't matter. Russo has put out, I don't know how many times over the last several years Russo has extended the olive branch or asked or wanted, a Bischoff or a Cornette to answer him and face him, or, have some kind of shoot-off, something. But Jim Cornette, always backs it down, always comes up with something. So anyways, on the latest episode of MLW's The Jim Cornette Experience, and boy, it is a hell of an experience. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Vince Russo. I'm more of a fan of Russo than I am Cornette, but I do respect what Cornette has done as a manager and a personality and everything that he stands for, but I am more of a Russo supporter. But anyhow, Jim Cornette commented on Vince Russo's remarks last week about contacting Vince McMahon about a potential WWE return. Russo said that he contacted McMahon in an effort to help out with the product. Because, ladies and gentlemen, whether you like Russo or not, whether you agreed with his work or not, whether you liked his storytelling or what, or the characters that he developed or helped with, Vince Russo, you can't deny the facts. You cannot deny the proof in the pudding. Ratings were at its highest when Vince Russo was writing the shots and calling the show. Well, not calling it, but I know Vince McMahon was there, but Vince McMahon was just that guy to oversee things. Vince Russo was still very much in charge of creative and in charge of what was going to be said and what was going to go on. But the bottom line is, Vince Russo wants to be back with the WWE. He wants to help them. And he probably doesn't even want to get paid for it. He wants to do it because he wants to see the product improve. He wants to see it get better. He doesn't want to see it, run through the ground like it is right now. He doesn't want to see the same old dance. He doesn't want to see circa 1960s wrestling, 1970s wrestling, right? Vince Russo, my point is, cannot make WWE much more worse or make the ratings worse than what they already are. So Cornette's ripping Russo. Cornette said Russo sends emails out weekly after Raw and talks about trying to help the show and getting a job with the WWE, but he hasn't figured out that everyone sees through his bull and don't want him back. Cornette's comments come after his appearance on this week's new episode of WWE Table for Three, where he was featured with Michael Hayes and Eric Bischoff, who also spoke out against Russo in his pathological history in wrestling. And then, pretty much, calling him a liar and, taking jabs at Russo. Listen, Vince Russo has called out Bischoff and Cornette for years, asking them to appear on his show, on his podcast, on his YouTube, whatever, even for charity. He's even asked them, listen, all the money we make, it'll go to charity. Because Russo and Cornette, imagine those two in the same room at the same time. And Cornette has refused big money offers to do this with Russo. But like I said, who's really the man here? Russo has went out over and over again, and he's called out Bischoff, but of course, Bischoff says, oh, well, it's just a way to get him relevant again, and this and that. And listen, we'll know who's telling the real truth. We'll know who's really factual. But the facts are Russo took over Cornette. He took over Bischoff. And I think there's a lot of jealousy. I think there's a lot of animosity. I think there's ill will feelings there. I just think there, there's a professional jealousy there, and it's always going to be underneath the skin. It's always going to bother. It's always going to irk Cornette or Bischoff in some way, shape, or form. Once again, this is not to say that I'm not trying to blow smoke up Vince Russo's ass and be the. I am just saying that you have choices in this world. You have opinions in this world. We don't have to all agree, and that's fine. If you're more of a fan for Cornette over Russo, well then that's fine. But at the end of the day, I watch Vince Russo religiously on his podcast, and every time he gets called out, or every time he gets ranted on, or shooted on, or whatever you want to call it, promoted on by Cornette or Bischoff, and they throw these jabs and they throw these shots at Russo, why don't they just go on his show and talk like men? I mean, you cannot have this rivalry go forever. I mean, you cannot. I mean, even Bret Hart came back to the WWE at one point. Sable came back. The Ultimate Warrior came back. Hulk Hogan came back. Friggin' Bruno Sammartino came back to the WWE. This beef needs to be squashed. As entertaining and as engaging as it is to hear the comments and the sound-offs and the rip-offs and whatever it is between Cornette, Russo, and Bischoff, there comes a point where you got to say, really, take a step back and do what's best for business. subscribe. And who do you think is in the right? Who's in the wrong? Once again, you cannot dispute facts. And the facts are when Russo was in charge and when Russo was writing things and was top of the creative and Russo had those things running through his head. I'm not here to say that everything Russo came up with was creative and was epic and was awesome. I'm not saying that Russo was the creator of the Attitude Era. I am just saying that without Russo, the Attitude Era may not have been half as good as it was. Subscribe.